We'll start with some obvious pros, the beaches and the taxes. The beach life, the beach restaurants, the boardwalk, we all know that's a part of Delaware, and if you don't know, now you know, because from Cape Henlopen all the way down to Dewey Beach, Bethany Beach, and going as far as you're getting to the Ocean City, Maryland line, you have so much coastal opportunity, bayside, beachside, don't have to dig into it. And taxes are a huge reason why people incorporate their businesses in Delaware and live in Delaware, because overall, you don't have to pay nearly as much to the IRS. But a con or a drawback to some of our more favorable tax laws leave us liable to have one or two types of taxes that are higher than normal. And for us, that's our transfer tax. Our transfer tax, or the tax that you pay when you buy or sell property, and yes, you have to pay this every single time you buy or sell a property, you have to pay a 4% transfer tax that's paid to the state, and that's split 2% and 2% between the one buying the property and the one selling the property. Speaking of living year over year, let's talk about retirement options, because Delaware is a huge pro if you're looking to retire. We'll talk about cost of living and other things like that later, but between the taxes year over year being lower than typical and the opportunity to be close to so much, including amazing medical facilities, really anywhere in Delaware allows for, especially the southern side of Delaware, to be a mecca for retirement. A con, though, that down at the beaches is the beach traffic. Now, of course, this can just be avoided by not going to the beaches on a Friday afternoon or Saturday and choosing to still go on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, but the beach traffic is sometimes a bit much. But a hack for the out-of-staters looking to avoid some of that traffic is to go Route 113 instead of Route 1. Route 1 is the main area, but side roads like Canterbury Road, McGinnis Pond Road can get you through a lot of the big portions of the traffic, and Route 113 can take you all the way down home. I especially like Route 113 if you're going all the way to Ocean City, Maryland. But enough about beach traffic. Let's talk about the farm town vibes. Let's talk about the long back roads and quiet towns. One of my favorite roads in Delaware is Route 9, and you can jump on Route 9 just before you get to the Air Force Base while going north on Route 1. The sign will say Kitsummik, and it'll exit you onto a road that'll take you all the way up the coast to northern Delaware. And Delaware is full of roads like that where you can just roll down the window and let the air roll in, and there's so many towns that fit that same vibe. And if you're looking for the everybody knows everybody, the farm town, the small little downtown spot, little general store, you have a lot of towns in Delaware that give you that opportunity as well. A con, though, to the quiet is the lack of nightlife in Delaware. And that's a common complaint, is there's nothing to do or there's no nightlife in Delaware. And although I personally disagree that there's nothing to do, we do lack certain things like nightclubs and other lounges that may traditionally be a part of the nightlife in bigger cities. But with the hometown bar, grills, and restaurants, the festivals, the events going on weekends, our beach life, our Wilmington-style city life, there's a lot to do all throughout Delaware. It just may involve you having to get in the car for 30 minutes. And that brings me to a great pro, and personally, like my favorite, our proximity. Not many states I know of personally where you can be close to everything without being on top of anything. See, you could live in a place like Dover, Delaware, our capital, where Loft Realty is actually located, and I'm sitting at this exact moment, and you can be 45 minutes from getting all the way up north to Wilmington, Baltimore, Annapolis, Philly, Ocean City, Maryland, Ocean City, New Jersey, New York, Williamsburg, Virginia. You could go down the list. There's so many day trips, weekend shots, or just an hour drive away or less to get to really whatever you want to be able to do. So yes, Delaware could be lacking in things like nightlife, and if that's a big deal for you, places like Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Annapolis are right around the corner, not to mention places like Secrets in Ocean City, Maryland, for all the nightlife you could look for. Plus, you're going through the beaches to get through Ocean City, and you think we don't have nightlife? Please stop by Dewey Beach, and I'll beg to differ with you. But in getting to some of these places, you might have one problem, because Delaware is definitely lacking in one specific category, and it's a con of public transportation. We do not have a lot of running buses. We do not have a ton of taxis, and Uber and Lyft is seldom, though available, in Delaware, but can be tough to snag one on a moment's notice, especially if it's not a hot day like a Saturday. And if you're heading toward like a main street up near University of Delaware, or down toward the beaches for a night on the town, or even someplace like Milford, Dover, or Camden, Wyoming that has plenty of bar opportunities, you may want to schedule ahead or have a DD in the group, because Uber and Lyft may not be the best thing to rely on when you're in Delaware. So as long as you have a car to get yourself transported, you'll love the next pro, because it's the cost of living and investment potential of Delaware, because the numbers for real estate investors and other investors alike just work a little bit better here in Delaware. For example, things like like 0% lodging tax on short-term Airbnbs or low property tax for those looking to flip properties. On top of that, for long-term rent and hold investors, we have very, very easy and simple to get LLCs in Delaware that are very favorable to the owner of the LLC. And for just anybody, the cost of living is lower. Property tax is something we've already mentioned, but cost of power, cost of groceries, cost of just owning or renting a property by the scale of the country, we are below average, giving you an opportunity to live at a lower cost than some of our close neighbors like in Maryland and Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Which is funny because this con would make you think the opposite, because Delaware is actually one of the top 10 densest states in the entire country. And what do I mean by dense? I mean, based off the amount of dirt we have, the available land space within the borders of our state of Delaware, we have a lot of people. So pound for pound, we're one of the most populated states already in the entire country. But don't tell builders that, because there are farmlands and areas that are being swept up anywhere towards the beaches. Harbison, Milton, Millsboro, and communities are going up left and right. So don't tell them there's no dirt available, because they're still building. But we are slowly moving up the rankings to becoming an even more dense state in the coming years. But Delaware's done a great thing and added an amazing pro, because our outdoor recreation and state parks are awesome. I think of White Clay, I think of Glasgow, I think of Killen's Pond, I think of Cape Henlopen. I think of all these parks throughout Delaware, and that's only a few, that have so much wildlife preservation, trails for biking, running, walking. Joe Biden fell on one of our trails. It's awesome. So there's just a lot to do in forms of hunting, bird watching, going on a walk with the family, or getting to the beach. So if you want to get out in the sun, you want to get out in nature, Delaware's got a lot for that. And I hate to finish on a con, but Delaware is actually the only state in the entire country that does not have an airport. We used to have an airport, but that airport really didn't go much of anywhere. And since then, it had shut down, and we then no longer had an airport, becoming the only state in the entire 50-state continental United States that does not have an airport. But we can't finish on a con, we gotta finish on a pro, and that pro is we now have a new airport that just launched this last quarter, that is going to Nashville, that is going to Savannah, Georgia, takes you to different places of Florida. It's not everything. You may still have to go over to, DC or Baltimore or Philly to get somewhere else, but having the opportunity to get to Nashville for like $65 a seat is well worth the drive to Newcastle County, Delaware to take your flight. So a recent con shifted to a pro, kind of, because we can't go everywhere yet, but that is a solid list of the best pros and cons I've come to know in 20 years of living here in Delaware.